Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today I'm going to build this German Kettenkrad in 28mm scale from Warlord Games. This metal model doesn't have much in the way of fancy packaging, but I don't suppose it really needs it anyway. Inside the blister pack we find this 60mm base. Unfortunately, there are no instructions included, nor could I find any online. We do, however, have the main body of the Kettenkrad, which does have a few bits that need to be cleaned up, but is for the most part pretty neat and reasonably detailed. The tracks are quite nicely cast and have a pretty good depth of detail. They will obviously need some cleanup though. The front wheel here is very neat. This is a railing for the rear and one of the mudguards. The railing themselves were both bent and needed straightening. The handlebars on this sprue kind of surprisingly didn't need to be straightened. One part fell off this sprue. It's this, which I think is a seat. Both of the Kettenkrad's riders come in two parts. They're fairly neat and well detailed. The heads are as good as the bodies. I'm not certain, but these are likely compatible with Warlord's figurehead interchangeable heads. Okay, let's get to building. I start by using a file to neaten up the tracks, both to ensure a good fit and to remove the mold lines and other unwanted casting remnants so that they look good. The body also needed a little bit of filing, but it was mostly cosmetic. The spot the tracks attached to was already pretty neat. The tracks are keyed, so they can't really be put on backwards unless you put some effort into it. I think this is good because if you aren't overly familiar with the Kettenkrad, it might not be immediately obvious which way the tracks should be facing. Once you're satisfied with how the tracks fit, glue them into place. Obviously, being a metal model, you'll need to use super glue for this. Now to attach the front wheel. This part didn't really need much cleanup before being glued on. I placed the body of the Kettenkrad on the desk while positioning the front wheel to eliminate the guesswork in getting the part to sit at the right height. Next, I attach the front mudguards. These are simple enough to put onto the model. And then, this small towing hook part. It is a little bit fiddly to position, and I was tempted to leave it off, but then it wouldn't be able to tow anything, and that just wouldn't do. I then turn my attention to the crew. I intend to leave the crew separate until the model gets painted. Taking this into consideration, I figured it would be a bit tricky to attach the driver's hands to the handlebars after painting. It would be easier to glue the handlebars into his hands and paint that as part of the driver. As long as you've put the handlebars in the driver's hands the right way, it should easily line up with the steering column of the vehicle and pose no issue when gluing the figure in. Neither figure really needed much in the way of cleanup before I glued their heads in place. To be honest, I'm surprised by how good these metal figures look. Perhaps I'm too used to being disappointed by 15mm scale metal figures. I add one final detail to the Kettenkrad, the handrails on the back. These did require a lot of bending to get into the correct shape, but once I got that done, they weren't too hard to glue on. They do look a bit beat up, but I figured that's realistic. I placed the rider and passenger on the Kettenkrad without gluing them, just as a demonstration of how the model looks. I think it looks pretty great. You can of course glue the crew into place, but having them separate makes it much easier for painting. There was one part that I left out when building this model. This little seat thing. It didn't seem to fit very well in the driver's position, and because there was no instructions, I didn't know what to do with it, so I simply omitted it. Overall though, I am quite pleased with how this little model has turned out. To be honest, I didn't buy it for any army list reason, but because I think Kettenkrads are funny looking little things. They look like a lot of fun to ride about on. This model was really quick and easy to put together, despite the lack of instructions and subsequent confusion with the seat thing. The parts were mostly neat, and not much effort was needed to prepare them for assembly. This is one of the more enjoyable metal models that I've put together in recent memory. I do generally prefer plastic models. I think this will be a fun little project to paint up at some point. With the crew figures not glued down, it should be pretty quick and easy to do, though I do have other things I'd rather paint first. Onto the long list it goes. I don't have any other Kettenkrads to compare this model with, and I'm not sure who else makes one, but if you're looking for a Kettenkrad, you could certainly do worse than this model. I hope this video has been helpful or interesting for you. If you've got any comments, I'd be interested to see them in the comments section below or on Facebook or Twitter, and of course, subscribe if you would like to see more. Thanks for watching. Farewell.